Hello, my name is Bert and welcome back to Age of the Classics. Let's see what we have in store for today's reading, shall we? Today our reading comes from the age-old classic, Meet Madeline. Where last we left off, Ben had been taken into Madeline's confidence. We are going to start in on Chapter 5, Independence. Let's see what Madeline does for Penny this time around. Oh, that was such a stupid intro. I gotta redo that. Hello, my name is Bert, and welcome back to Age of the Classics, where today we will be reading a selection from the book Meet Madeline. Where last we left off, Ben had just been taken into Madeline's confidence. Today's our final reading in the book Meet Madeline. And as I read, I would like you to put yourself in the shoes of Madeline and relive the drama, the action, the complete rapture Madeline has and devotion towards Penny. Now let's get started. Chapter 5, Independence. Madeline brushed Penny until she was as shining as the sun. She combed the horse's mane and untangled the knots in her tail. Mr. Nye never brushed Penny, and usually Madeline was afraid to do more than pull the burrs off her coat. She did not want Mr. Nye to know someone was caring for Penny. But today was different. Today the secret would end. Penny knew something was happening. She stood very still and let Madeline brush her. "There, Penny, my beauty," Madeline said at last. "No one would recognize you. You're so clean and beautiful and so peaceful and calm." Penny nudged Madeline affectionately. Madeline rubbed Penny's nose. "I love you, Penny," she said. "Are you ready?" Penny stood next to the pasture fence and let Madeline climb on her back. Madeline wore her coral necklace for good luck. She wore her favourite gown too, so that she and Penny would both look their best. "We're off, girl," Madeline said to Penny. "And don't you worry, everything will be fine." The sun was rising, tinting the rooftops gold, as Madeline rode down the main street. The few people who were up stared and wondered. Was that the American girl riding astride a horse? And what a horse it was! A beauty! Where did such a horse come from? No one was carrying the breakfast plate from the kitchen to the house when Madeline rode into the yard. Non's mouth fell open in astonishment. She called out, "Mother! Father! Come quick!"
"What's all the fuss about?"
Mr. Merriman asked. He came outside, wiping his face with a breakfast napkin. He stopped still when he saw Madeline riding Penny.
"Look!"
cried William behind him. "There's his horse! There's his horse!"
"Phyllis Madeline Merriman!"
exclaimed Mother.
"What are you doing? Where did you get that horse?"
"It's Penny," said Madeline. "It's the horse I told you about." Ben came toward her. Penny stepped back nervously. "It's all right, Penny. It's all right," Madeline said. She stroked the horse's neck and Penny calmed down. Slowly, Ben reached up and touched Penny's neck.
"Is that the horse from Jiggy Nye's tannery?"
asked Mr. Merriman.
"What on earth are you doing with Jiggy Nye's horse?
"Does he know you have it? Why have you brought it here?" "I wanted you to see her, Father," said Madeline quickly. "I wanted to show you how lovely and gentle she is. Penny was never vicious. It was only Mr. Nye that beat her and hurt her. She did not trust him or anyone. She wouldn't let me ride her for the longest time.
The longest time?
Asked Mrs. Merriman.
Whatever do you mean? How long have you been going to her?
Near 5 weeks now, said Madeline excitedly. Every morning. Mrs. Merriman sank down on the step.
5 weeks! And we never knew!
But how did you tame her? Asked Mr. Merriman. Who showed you what to do? Penny herself. She showed me what to do, said Madeline. All I had to do was be patient and careful. I had to wait for her to trust me. She's a beautiful horse, said Mr. Merriman, and she seems mild as a lamb, but she is not your horse to ride, even if you did tame her. You know it is wrong to borrow a horse without asking. You must take her back to the tannery now. You must apologize to Jiggy Nye for riding his horse, and you must never ride Penny again unless Jiggy Nye says that you may. Oh, but Father, you don't understand. I want to keep her, cried Madeline. I heard Mr. Nye say that anyone who could ride her could have her. I can ride her, so she's mine. Mr. Merriman shook his head. Maddie, he slowly said, it is you who misunderstood. No one would give away a horse like this. She belongs to Jiggy Nye. You must return her. Oh, but he beats the horse and starves her, piped in Ben. That may be true, but it is still his horse, said Mr. Merriman firmly. Oh, can't we buy her, Father? Begged Madeline. Can't we keep her? Can't Penny stay? But Father had no time to answer, for at that moment Jiggy Nye came reeling into the yard. Penny reared and Madeline had to grab onto her mane to stay on her back. Norm shrieked and William wailed. I found these, yelled Mr. Nye. Ye ain't strong kick of a girl. You're stealing me horse. Get down off me horse. Madeline leaned down and threw her arms around Penny's neck. Penny was trembling. You said anyone could ride her, could have her, Madeline said to Mr. Nye. I never did, snarled Mr. Nye. Norm cried out. You did! You did! I heard you, bad old man! Mr. Nye shouted. I never met no girl could steal that horse from me! No one is trying to steal your horse, said Mr. Merriman. My daughter misunderstood. She's wrong to take your horse, but it was a child's honest mistake. I make my apologies for her. Mistake, says ye? Cried Mr. Nye. Taking a horse is a crime! The only crime here is the way you mistreat this horse, said Mr. Merriman. You don't deserve to own Penny. I would buy her from ye. Ha! Shouted Mr. Nye. Never will I sell ye this horse to ye, you no blue-faced duffer. The horse be mine, and it always will be mine. I can treat it any way I want to, you hear me? Now tell your breath to get off that horse before I rip her down myself, he ordered. No, cried Madeline. Don't let him take Penny. Father, please don't. Mr. Merriman looked up at Madeline sadly. Penny does not belong to you, Madeline. You must let Jiggy Nye take her. Madeline held tight to Penny. Please, Father, she begged. We can't let Penny go. Mr. Merriman gently opened Madeline's arms and slid her off Penny's back. Mr. Nye put a rope around Penny's neck and pulled it tight. He turned to Madeline and said, Don't you come sneaking around! If I see you near this horse, I swear I'll kill it!
I'll tear its hide before I let you touch it again.
Mr. Merman put both his hands on Madeline's shoulders.
I will not have you speak so roughly to my daughter, Nye. Be off with you, he said.
Mr. Nye spat in the dust. Then he yanked on the rope and led Penny away. Madeline felt dead inside. Penny was gone, and all her hopes were gone too. "Penny," she whispered. Then she turned and ran to the stable so that no one could hear her cry. A while later, Father came into the stable to find her. Madeline was stroking old Biss. She took comfort in Biss's warm, horsey smell. Father put his arm around Madeline.
Have you cried all your tears,
"My child?" he asked. Madeline slowly nodded. They sat quietly for a while. Then Madeline said, "It was all a waste, wasn't it? It was all for nothing."
Nothing? Said her father. Didn't you tame that horse? Didn't I see you riding her, looking as fine as a queen?
"But look how it ended, Father," said Madeline. "Jimmy Nye has taken Penny back. I was wrong to ride off with her, and wrong to think that I could keep her. I was wrong to try to make her mine."
"No, Madeline, my dear," said Father. "It is never wrong to try to earn something you love. Indeed, 'tis only wrong not to try. You hoped for something, and you put your hard work behind your hope. I can only be proud of a daughter who can do that." He kissed Madeline's forehead. "You come back to the house when you're ready." After Father left, Madeline pulled Ben's breeches out from under the bucket. She went to Ben's room and knocked. When he opened the door, Madeline held out his breeches. She said nothing. Ben took the breeches. Suddenly, he said, "Madeline, I have a little money. Maybe if we offered Mr. Nye money." "No, Ben," said Madeline. "You heard him say he will never sell Penny to us. He's too hateful." "But Penny will never let Mr. Nye ride her," said Ben. "If he touches her, she'll go vicious again. Then he will beat her and starve her, and soon I fear he'll kill her, Ben," said Madeline. I fear he will. "We've got to save her somehow," said Madeline. "We've got to. What can we do?" "If only you could hide her somewhere," murmured Ben. "Penny's not a horse that was meant to live hidden away," said Madeline. "She'd die of sadness if she were kept closed up in a stable or a pen." "You're right," nodded Ben. "She'd be better off loose again, running free in the woods." Madeline said softly, "Aye, she'd be better off running free." Then Madeline looked at Ben. "She'd be better off running free," she said louder. Ben looked sad. "Madeline," he said slowly, "if you let her loose, you'll never see her again." Madeline nodded. "And if you untie her and open the pasture gate and let her go, then that would be stealing," said Ben. "The punishment for horse theft is hanging." Madeline nodded again. Without a word, she took the breeches out of Ben's hands and left. That night, Madeline didn't sleep at all. It was still dark, still the middle of the night when she crept out of bed, pulled on Ben's breeches and ran along the familiar path to Penny's pasture. The pasture gate was fastened shut with a heavy chain and lock, so Madeline climbed over the fence. She was surprised to see that Penny was not tied to the stake as she usually was. Why didn't Mr. Nye tether her? Madeline wondered.
Madeline whistled softly, and Penny trotted over to her and nuzzled her hello. Madeline climbed on to Penny's back and whispered in her ear, "That's my girl, Penny. That's my fine one. Come on now, girl. Let's fly." And just like all the mornings before, Penny trotted, then cantered, then galloped across the pasture. Faster and faster she flew. Madeline buried her face in Penny's mane and held on tight. Swiftly and smoothly, Penny sped across the pasture toward the tumble-down part of the fence. Madeline looked ahead and gasped in fear. The fence had been fixed. It loomed high and solid before them. Penny can't jump that fence, Madeline thought. It's too high. But with one graceful leap, Penny jumped and sailed over the highest rail. And just as she did, just as she crossed the fence, Madeline let go of Penny's mane. She slipped off Penny's back and fell with a thud inside the pasture. Penny galloped on, carried by the force of a jump, running towards the woods. But just as she got to the edge of the trees, Penny stopped and looked back at the pasture where Madeline lay gasping for breath. "Go on," whispered Madeline. "Go on, Penny. You're free." Penny hesitated. She shook her mane and nickered. Then she disappeared into the woods. "Goodbye, Penny. Goodbye, my girl," Madeline whispered. She sat on the cold ground and waited to be sure Penny was not going to come back. Madeline didn't care how late she was getting home. She didn't care if Mr. Knight found her in that pasture. Penny was free now, and that was all that mattered. At last, Madeline stood, brushed the dirt off the breeches and headed home. She was very weary. Later that morning, Madeline went back to Ben's room above the stable. "Here are your breeches, Ben," she said. Ben took the breeches. "Did you let her go?" he asked. Madeline nodded, her eyes filled with tears. "Penny is free. She freed herself." "It's the best thing," said Ben. "Aye," said Madeline. "But I hope she doesn't feel I've abandoned her. That would break my heart. She knows that I love her, doesn't she, Ben?" "She knows," said Ben seriously. "She knows that you love her so much, you let her go free. You gave her what she needed most, her independence." Madeline was quiet. Then she said, "Aye, that's it, her independence." The next Sunday, as they were all setting out for church, Mrs. Merriman said, "Well, Ben, I see your friend returned those breeches at last. They're mended nicely, too." "Yes, ma'am," said Ben. "Mind you keep an eye on them, lad," said Mrs. Merriman. "Yes, ma'am, I will," said Ben. "But if my friend should ever need them, I'd be honoured to lend them again." Here Madeline shared a secret smile. The end. Thank you for joining us through the journey of Madeline and her horse, Penny. But was it really her horse? Was Penny really anybody's horse? Penny was truly her namesake, independence. And Madeline helped Penny realize that dream. In the words of Mr. Merriman, Madeline hoped for something with all her heart, but more than that, she tried. She put all of her efforts into something, and it was enough. Thank you for joining us in Age of the Classics as we read through Meet Madeline. Join us again next week. Thank you.